Hey, everybody. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. That's a lot of headroom going on there. Let's see if we can fix that. All right. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. So, for the topic this week, I said I'd start doing topics that you guys sent in. If it's a topic I want to talk about, if it's something that's important to me, then I'd be more than happy to do a Moment of Clarity on it. So this is the first one sent in by you guys. You can send them in to leecampmail@gmail.com. This one is from Christine DiCarlo. So she sent in the topic, and then here are my ideas about it. So the Democrats claim to be pro-science, right? That's their thing. They've been running around a lot on all the television channels going, we may agree with Trump on every goddamn policy in the country. We may want to give all the money to Wall Street. We may, just like Trump. We may want to rig all the courts for the rich, just like Trump. We may want to allow millions of our own citizens to rot in prison, just like Trump. We may surveil you and watch you and keep tabs on you and make sure you never pose any kind of risk or trouble or problem to us. So we put nanobots in your fucking cereal and collect all your information so that you feel like you have Philip K. Dick up your ass, just like Trump. And we may want to continue essentially all the same foreign policy, belligerent bullshit, pushing us to the brink of nuclear war with a goddamn cornucopia of countries, just like Trump. But there's one place we're different. When it comes to the pandemic, we Democrats are pro-science. We believe in science. We believe it's a thing, and we study it, and we listen to it, unlike Donald Trump. That's what they say, right? I wasn't saying we like I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican because I'm a thinking, rational adult, and those things are mutually exclusive. So the Democrats are supposed to be the kings and queens of listening to science. And when it comes to COVID-19, they would indeed be much better than Mr. Inject Yourself with Bleach. Or he also goes by Mr. Inject Yourself with Sunshine. He said that. He said inject. That came out of his face hole. Maybe we could put sunshine inside the body. That's what he said in front of the nation. He didn't like mumble it to himself in a drunken stupor while vomiting into a men's urinal trough at a Coyote Ugly in fucking Tallahassee, Florida. No. He said it in the White House press room to the nation. Maybe we could put sunshine on the inside. That's like something that should only be said by a 3-year-old after asking why there are cold people sitting on the sidewalk in the city, and you say, well, son, those are homeless people. They don't have a house, and unfortunately, sometimes we can help them, sometimes we can't. So they wear lots of coats to try and be warm out here. And then your bright little kid, unencumbered by societal norms and reality and understanding of physics, says, well, maybe we can put sunshine on the inside. That's the only time that sentence should ever be muttered. Point being, yes, the current lunatic president is a science denier and a fucking idiot. So the Democrats and Joe Biden are pro-science when it comes to COVID-19, but that does not mean they're pro-science in all the other ways. They are completely anti-science when it comes to climate change. We have maybe 5 years left until the point of no return. We need to completely change our society in the span of a few years. And yet all of our politicians act like things can keep going the same way. Well, they can't. And the ruling elite and the tops of the oil companies have known about climate change since the 80s, since the early 80s, late 70s at least, and they ignored it. They were and are being anti-science. Saying we can keep behaving the same way is as dumb as saying we should put sunshine inside our bodies. We can't keep going this way, or we will all die. How about on Monsanto's herbicide Roundup? The Democrats are completely anti-science. They don't want to admit that it needs to stop immediately. It kills humans, it kills the insects, and yes, Monsanto has been bought by Bayer, but that doesn't mean that they've stopped doing all the shit they've always been doing. They're still going. Bees. The Democrats are ignoring the bees. The neonicotinoids are killing the bees, which are insecticides that are causing colony collapse. And as Albert Einstein once said, when the bees die, we die. And sure, if you want to get all picky about it, Albert Einstein didn't actually say that. But there's a meme that's been shared a lot saying he did say it. So that makes it a fact. Kind of like that meme that's been going around of Emma Stone saying Lee Camp is her favorite lover. Favorite lover? Yes, her favorite lover. It's different than her lover. Her lover is very. Her lover is very different. Her lover is. I don't know what the fuck that is. Anyway, the Dems are anti-science on so many things. They're anti-science on marijuana, even though ballot initiatives have made them look like idiots because most of America knows marijuana is not going to fucking kill you and it's not generally going to harm you and it's certainly a lot less harmful than alcohol. They're anti-science on 5G, right? 5G, look, I'm not saying it's definitely incredibly dangerous, but we fucking aren't doing the testing. We're not looking into it because they just want to roll it out without asking the questions, which is anti-science. They don't want to know what the studies would say. Point being, the Democrats are anti-science on tons of shit. So let's stop acting like they only abide by what Bill Nye, the science guy, knows to be true. And by the way, Bill Nye is anti-science on GMOs. So there's that too. He says GMOs are fine. Basically, Bill Nye said GMOs needed more testing, and there was problems with them. And then he was taken to like a Monsanto factory, and they gave him a tour. And then he walked out the other side, and he said, "Never mind, GMOs are fine," and never questioned them again. I don't know what they fucking had on him. I don't know if they had some nasty Bill Nye the Science Guy sex tapes or what, but he changed on a dime. The idea that there's no way a genetically modified plant or animal could have some long-term impact is ridiculous. I'm not saying they all would, but we need to do the testing. I mean, how could some of them not have an impact on us? If I just have a little lactose, I blow my lesser known organs out my ass. So what do you think having fucking, fish genes in my lettuce does? I mean, what makes you think GMOs couldn't cause some harm? They should be long-term tested. We learned Teflon was giving us cancer years after we've been eating whole chunks of it. My mom made me eggs out of a Teflon pan every day of my childhood. And she really like burned it in there. She was one of the hardcore Teflon people. Unless there were chunks of Teflon in every bite of eggs, she thought she hadn't cooked them right. Until I was 18, I thought Teflon was seasoning because all my eggs tasted like that. So if we can't even figure out what a fucking pan does to us over 30 years, after 30 years, then what do you think a tomato crossed with salmon genes does? All of a sudden, my turds can hold their breath, and you're telling me to call that normal? I'm not saying all GMOs are dangerous, but the idea that we don't need to test each different one extensively is, anti-fucking science. So, to wrap this up, the Democrats are incredibly anti-science in so many ways. They're not anti-science that I've seen on COVID-19. So that's correct. So maybe we can have some form of fucking better way of dealing with a goddamn pandemic rather than just deciding we're going to kill 1 million Americans. But for them to act like they're pro-science on everything else is fucking laughable. And they, if they don't change soon, well, we need to make them change, I guess. That's the goal. Or create the change ourselves without worrying about the fucking political parties because they're garbage. All right, guys, that's the moment of clarity. Thank you, Christine, for sending in that topic. You can send in topics to leecampmail@gmail.com. And yeah, I try and do these almost every weekday. I had to be gone for a couple of days, but now I'm back. So it's every single weekday, except sometimes. And that's at leecamp.com. So just check leecamp.com for the new ones. Also, check out my podcast, Government Secrets with Graham Elwood. That's the new one. I have a separate podcast, Common Censored. But check them both out. And they're free, and you can listen to them whenever you want. All right. Keep fighting.